feet per second. Verge of intersecting the heading alignment circle.
Oh!
There it is.
That's the second sonic boom there, and of course those are people on the ground. You can hear them very clearly telling us that the shuttle is now in sight. It appears, of course, to be dropping like a stone in many cases.
Reports Discovery is now on the hat.
Looks to be going straight down.
Well, it's in a bank. It's a left-hand turn. It's descending very steeply, turning back in towards the runway, and it is descending very rapidly. It's sort of like a bathtub with wings.
Discovery Houston, recommend vector transfer to the BFS.
Translation, please, Joe.
Must be seated 5 miles from the crowd, and you can hear the crowd cheering on our platform. They heard the boom and see it very clearly, as do we.
Now, Dick Richards, who was with us, one of the shuttle astronauts the other day, said you could actually fly this thing down by computer. Is that correct?
It was designed to fly hands-off all the way down to the ground, but I don't know.
That's correct. I think, Gene, he will fly it, the computer will fly it until he turns about on to final, and then Rick will take control stick steering, we call it, and he'll fly it straight down.
So at the moment, the shuttle is still on automatic pilot in essence.
Midway around her left overhead.
Yes.
Of course, the next major thing is he straightens out and heads in towards the runway is that landing gear. And that's a major component that has to function.
This looks like an airstrip. Of course, it really is the desert, and they've actually painted black strips on the runway, on the desert to identify it as a runway. You guys have been talking about how good it is for a landing base. In fact, rained out there once, and everybody got terribly nervous that the shuttle would stick in the sand, become mud. But today, it is absolutely perfect in all respects.
Peter, the Air Force and NASA has an acronym for everything, and it is said today that all the FODs have been cleared from the runway, foreign objects and debris. They've done a sweep of the runway.
Remember my first recovery of the first shuttle, you can almost feel the presence. There's something happening as it came to this point.
Winds are calm. Looks real pretty.
There it is.
At 3,000 feet, Discovery will execute her pre-flare maneuver. She's now at about 6,500 feet, descending at a rate of 180 feet per second. Speed 550 feet per second.
$1.7 million miles since she left Cape Canaveral 4 days ago.
Gear down. The gear down and locked. The report from Mission Control.
Fantastic.
All right.
Main gear touchdown. Commander Houck now rotating the nose down, standing by for nose gear and touchdown.
They don't come any better.
He handled like a baby when he let that nose come down.
Now, one of the problems they had in earlier landings was applying the brakes on. And everything looks just to have been smooth as silk here. In the distance, the national anthem.
We'll stop.
Roger, we'll stop, Discovery. Welcome back. A great ending to the new beginning.
Thanks a lot.
And so Discovery sits at Edwards Air Force Base on this glorious day, and we listen to the final few bars.
Discovery,
This is Discovery. Heavy rate. Thank you very much, and I read you loud and clear.
Discovery Houston 1 Delta.
Roger.
We'd like the secondary controller to off, please.
The crew will be out in just a few minutes, and we'll be back right after this message.
Original Yoplait is the yogurt with nothing on the bottom.
Nothing on the bottom.
I have lumpy yogurt with fruit jammed on the bottom.
Nothing on the bottom.
Yoplait smooth and creamy with fruit right up to the top.
Nothing but natural. Nothing but low fat. Nothing on the bottom. And that's the end of that.
Original Yoplait.
Nothing on the bottom. And that's the end of that.
Oh, yeah.
Revlon lips never lie.
That's true.
Long-lasting lipsticks don't always stay true to your lips. The color changes. But Revlon's designed a lipstick to stay true to your lips.
Super lustrous lipstick. The pink stay pink. The red stay red. The color you see is the color you get.
It's magic.
It's magnifique. It's Revlon. Revlon lips never lie.
The most unforgettable women in the world wear Revlon.
Discovery on the ground at Edwards Air Force Base in California. A couple of hours drive from Los Angeles, a couple of 100,000 people there. Let's listen now as they talk to ground control at Edwards. Work has been done at Cape Canaveral, the Kennedy Space Center, and at the Johnson Space Center. They are now back. And what an enthusiastic welcome you heard them get at the very first sight. There was a burst of applause from that large crowd, and it was sustained applause until
Mission
Discovery.
Control, Houston, the crew now will be engaging in post-landing procedures to safe the orbiter and prepare her for the gotten ready to be towed to the hangar at drive. Our unofficial time for main gear touchdown, mission elapsed time. Mission elapsed time 4 days, 1 hour, 0 minutes, 8 seconds. Our unofficial time for nose wheel gear touchdown, 1 day. Correction, 4 days, 1 hour, 0 minutes, 18 seconds. And we show wheel stop unofficially at 4 days.
There you
1
get
hour,
some sense
0
of what the
minutes,
pilot,
57 seconds.
the commander had to look at as they came in, that enormous piece of desert on which they landed today.
The orbiter safety
And they now just simply sit there as we look at it from a helicopter.
A series of events that'll take about 15
And
minutes
we
or
can
so.
have a look again now at this landing. 4 days, 1 minute, 8 seconds after it took off.
The gear down and locked. The report from Mission Control. Main gear touchdown. Commander out now rotating the nose down, standing by for nose gear and touchdown.
What I missed on this occasion, Gene and Turner, was that little aircraft that used to fly alongside and count the feet off the touchdown. He seems to have been able to do it in a different way this time.
Well, I was looking for the chase aircraft when we first saw the shuttle coming through about 50,000 feet, but I didn't see him. And I don't know whether they used him on this flight or not. They certainly didn't make a pass after the shuttle landed.
Now, give us some sense. In fact, let me ask Joe Allen, because you've come down on this particular vehicle. Joe, what goes on at the moment? They won't be out for as long as 30 minutes from now, right?
That's correct. They still have quite a long checklist to go through, and it's mainly turning off equipment. They'll bring it to a point where the orbiter's quite safe and is happy to be left for a while. Then they'll come down, and a backup crew, support crew, will go in and finish the job. They should be coming down the steps in about 30 minutes.
So what are they doing at the moment, Joe, specifically?
They're going through a post-landing checklist, calling off switches and throwing switches. We'll hear them also talk from time to time, I would guess, with Houston.
One of the impressions we had here, and I asked this to Joe and to Gene particularly, is that it was all gentler in all respects. And on previous missions, we've looked for some of the tiles to be missing from the heat shield. Nothing appears to be missing, at least at this distance so far, Gene.
Well, this may be credibility to the effort and work that was put into this particular space vehicle during the last 2.5 years. There's a lot of changes that went in and somewhere to the structure of the wing, which I'm sure affected some of those tiles.
Joe, did you notice anything at all?
Not a thing, Peter. We've looked at it through glasses. It looks shiny, brand new. Hard to believe it's traveled nearly, as you say, 1.7 million miles this trip for a total of about 22 million miles, I calculate.
Peter, I noticed something. The unrestrained joy gave way to Joe Allen grabbing his wallet. He says he had a bet with Rick Houck about landing right on the money, right on the mark, and he thinks he lost some big money here. Houck put it right down, right about where he was supposed to.
I'm happy to lose it. Happy to lose it.
Well, we won't embarrass you, but they'll take this off now and then. How soon will they get it back to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida? And how long will it take, Joe, to get this thing ready to fly again?
Once again, it's not scheduled to fly for several months. The next machine up is Atlantis, if I remember correctly, which will go in November. It's being prepared in Florida right now.
Do you have any, Mortan, Joe, some final impressions about this overall mission? Well, let me preface it by saying that one of the things that struck me was that everybody was phenomenally interested in the liftoff, and NASA